My fucking moment is when I left Cash Money. I didn't know what I was gonna do, how it was gonna play out or whatever. I just, because I didn't have no connections, I buried myself in the drum machine most of the time. I didn't know nothing. So it got really, really dark because you have these moments where you're like, man, maybe this is the end of my career. My moment was one of the first songs I got an opportunity to do outside of them was Jeezy And Then What? And I remember doing that song and just this feeling came over me like, what if this fails? Like, what if this song doesn't work or it's just not received well? I remember being in the House of Blues in New Orleans when he came. He came and that was the new song. And he played that song. He did that song at the end of his show. The fucking place went crazy. Like, they went crazy, dude. What's up? This your boy, DJ Mannie Fresh, and I am a culture builder. One of the things I always say, because a lot of people don't get the chance to do, first of all, what happened with Cash Money. Like usually when it's over, it's over. There is no making up. They don't, they don't get to go back and talk to each other or whatever. But one of the things, anybody young or anybody that's doing this, I always say, and I can't stress it enough, don't do homeboy business. Homeboy business will always go bad. And what that means is if you're going to get a manager, get a manager. If you're going to get a lawyer, get a lawyer. Your friend cannot be your manager. He can't be your lawyer. He can't, get people that really do things, because, and if you're with a company that don't want you to have them things, then maybe you shouldn't be with that company. And one of the things that, with us, with Cash Money was we were all young. We made a lot of mistakes, like on both sides. Them, me, and all of us. And we luckily, by the grace of God, we got together and talked about it and ironed it out. All of that could have been prevented by just getting the right people to do the right things. And people always think that, this is my boy or this is my crew. They'll never do that. You don't know that when money starts. When money come, things change, people change. So my biggest thing is, like I said, line up the right people for the right stuff and you'll have a lucrative, cool career. The three keys to me to being successful is definitely surround yourself around good people. Secondly, hire people that do their job. Like don't get people who don't do their job and you think they're going to do their job. So if you need some legal contracts looked over or something like that, don't let your brother do it. Don't let your mama do it. Hire a person that does that. Hire an attorney that, and that's scratching out homeboy business. And I would think, man, third is, I guess, stay humble. Don't forget where you came from, and a lot of times you gotta, I have to remind people of, I definitely can't sign every autograph or shake every hand or whatever, but I do know that I wouldn't be here without the support of people. Like, and if you stay humble and it goes a long way. Like just by going like, I'm grounded. I know where I am. And I would say one more thing. You got to have people around you that could call you out on your wrongs. You got to have people, not everybody that worked for you scared of you, you're doomed. You're doomed. But you got to have friends and people that work with you that can call you out on, because you're going to have times where you did something wrong. And if your friends can call you out, correct it and let's keep it moving. Nobody don't want to hear about being wrong, but it's shit that all of us are wrong on sometimes. My fucking moment is when I left Cash Money. I didn't know what I was going to do, how it was going to play out or whatever, and I just, because I didn't have no connections, I buried myself in the drum machine most of the time. I didn't know nothing. So it got really, really dark because you have these moments where you're like, man, maybe this is the end of my career. And this is before social media and people just was kind of like, just being people. Like I was being crucified, like on like, why would you leave? Why would you do this? You're not shit without them or they not shit without that kind of stuff. And my moment was one of the first songs I got an opportunity to do outside of them was Jeezy And Then What? And I remember doing that song and just this feeling came over me, like, what if this fails? Like, what if this song doesn't work, or is just not received well? Like, and even that it'll play mind tricks on you. And I remember being in the House of Blues in New Orleans when he came. He came, and that was the new song. And he played that song. He did that song at the end of his show. Like, and he was still in, I forget what was the group it was four of them or whatever. But he was in a group at the time that when they were signed to Puffy or whatever. But he did the song like at the end of the show, and the fucking place went crazy. Like, they went crazy, dude. Yeah, Jeezy was in Boys in the Hood, and then what? I had did it, and it had been on the radio like maybe for a week or so. It had just came out. So, I was like, I don't know if this got traction, if this gonna be it for me or whatever. And he came to New Orleans, House of Blues, and Boys in the Hood performed. But then he was like, hold up, wait, I got one more song I want to do, and I'm gonna do this last one, and we gonna get out. And he did that song, and the fucking crowd went crazy. Like, they went nuts over that song. Like, and I remember crying, bro. It brought me to tears, because it was that moment that I felt like it was something lifted off of me. Like, I had that moment of like, thank you, God. It was Jeezy and Then What? And that was one that, that was the start of Jeezy's career. So, that was me. That gave me all the confidence in the world to be like, I'm going to be all right. What's next for me, Manny, is I'm DJing now more than anything. Jeff is always production. We need production. But the way this works with me is I have to fall in love with it. I have seasons. I'm in love with DJing right now. When I'm finished with that, I'll get back to doing beats. I found that I can't do both of them because there's not room for it. Like, I take DJing that serious. Like, on how I'm gonna do my selections and how I'm, because even in that, I want to beat you. I'm competitive. Like, if there's 3 DJs on it, we're gonna talk after I'm finished. It's that way with me. So I feel like that's where I'm at right now. I'm DJ Mannie Fresh, and I get asked all the time to do music, and even with Wayne, like, his new album, the Being Myself song that's on there, the one that's me. I'm glad, like, the way it reaches people. It still let me know, like, okay, I'm intact. I'm still here. I just got to get back to the love of it again. Me and Jeff be connected because in New Orleans, we come from the same background. Number one is the love of music. Like, Jeff has been around us for forever. Jeff was on a radio station, when I was younger or whatever. And when he was younger, of course, he still looked hip and cool over there. Y'all can't see him, but our love of music, and putting it together. And I just love Jeff's approach on how he strategizes things, and, and I don't have to say it. Jeff already know what's what. If something happens with me that I don't like, I ain't got to say shit. Jeff is already on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if it's something that I'm interested in too, he's already on it. I'm to the point now where I got to demand it. I got to demand that you know who I am. Now, I just kind of, I'm going to say it for you. If you don't, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, like I said, I'm good with being humble, but I'm also good with give people credit that did it. That, like, if you're going to keep passing me up, then I'm going to remind you of who I am and where I came from, and the one of the coolest lines ever, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. When we start talking about the numbers, you have to put me there. What's up? This is DJ Mannie Fresh, and you're watching 24/7 HH. You heard me?